There comes a time in life when the routines we carried for decades suddenly start to feel heavier than they once did. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, it was almost automatic, wasn't it? But at a certain age, maybe in your 70s, you notice that the same meal that once gave you strength now leaves you feeling sluggish. You finish eating, and instead of energy, you feel the weight of it pressing you down. It's not that your body is failing you, it's simply speaking a new language, asking for gentler rhythms, lighter patterns, more awareness. That realization can be unsettling at first. For many years, we were told 3 meals a day is the gold standard, and anything else is strange or even unhealthy. But what if that advice was never meant to be permanent? What if your body, at 70 or 80, is asking you to let go of what once worked and embrace what now brings peace? Aging, in many ways, is a quiet teacher. It strips away the unnecessary, the excess, the things we once clung to. And food, as comforting and nourishing as it is, can also be one of those areas where less truly becomes more. To eat only once a day at 74 isn't a punishment or a test of will. It can be an act of kindness, a way of saying, "I hear you, body, and I trust you." Think of it this way. When you were younger, your body was like a bustling marketplace, busy, quick, able to handle a constant stream of arrivals. But now, it's more like a quiet garden that thrives when tended slowly, with space to breathe. A heavy meal 3 times a day is too much for that garden. A single nourishing meal, however, allows it to flourish without being overrun. Perhaps you've noticed this yourself, how a lighter eating pattern gives you clearer mornings, calmer afternoons, and even deeper sleep at night. And maybe, at times, you felt a little guilty for skipping a meal, worried you were doing something wrong. But guilt has no place here. Listening to your body is never wrong. Let me ask you gently, have you paid attention to how you truly feel after eating? Do you notice whether food brings you energy or steals it away? These small observations are not trivial. They're guideposts showing you how to live in alignment with who you are today, not who you were decades ago. And this isn't about rigid rules. Some days you may want more than one meal, and that's fine. The wisdom lies in the awareness, in the freedom to choose based on how your body whispers its needs to you. In this stage of life, the greatest gift you can give yourself is not discipline, but compassion. So if the thought of eating once a day feels strange or even a little scary, hold it gently, without pressure. Consider it an invitation, not an obligation. And if it resonates with you, take a small step in that direction, always with kindness at the center. By the way, I'd love to know, where are you reading this from? Leave a comment with your location. It always warms my heart to see the places these words travel to. Maria was 76 when she first told me how tired she felt after meals. "It's strange," she said softly. "I eat, and instead of feeling nourished, I feel like I need to lie down." For years, she followed the rhythm of 3 meals a day, because that's what she had always been taught was right. But her afternoons turned into long hours of heaviness. Her evenings blurred with fatigue. And she started to wonder if this was just what aging meant. It wasn't until she gently shifted to 1 meal a day that she discovered something surprising: lightness. She didn't describe it as willpower or a strict program. She described it as breathing easier, as if her body finally had the space it had been asking for. Her afternoons became clearer, she found herself more present in her conversations, and even her sleep deepened. It wasn't magic, it was simply giving her body the gift of rest from constant digestion. You see, eating doesn't just give us energy, it also requires energy. The older we get, the more noticeable this becomes. Every meal we eat demands that the body works, producing enzymes, processing sugars, managing fats, breaking down proteins. When you're young, that process is almost invisible, like a well-oiled machine humming in the background. But later in life, it's as if the machine runs a little slower, and the effort becomes something you can feel. That's why sometimes you may notice that eating lighter or less frequently actually leaves you with more vitality. Have you felt that after a smaller lunch or a skipped breakfast, you suddenly had more clarity, more calm, even a subtle joy in your body? It can feel surprising, but it makes sense when you listen closely. If you're curious about trying this, you don't need to rush.
In fact, rushing would miss the point. You might begin by noticing which meal feels the least necessary in your day. For some, it's breakfast. For others, dinner. Experiment gently. Instead of cutting it out immediately, reduce the portion first, or replace it with something simple, like fruit or tea. See how your body responds, and don't judge the outcome. Some days you may find the lightness refreshing. Other days you may feel you need more. That's not failure, that's wisdom in action. When Maria told me her story, she didn't talk about it as a strict system. She said, "It feels like I've been carrying a heavy coat indoors, and I finally took it off." That's what this way of eating can be. Not a rigid plan, but a release of unnecessary weight, both physical and emotional. I wonder if you can imagine what it would feel like for you to have that kind of lightness in your days. Not the lightness of skipping or denying yourself, but the lightness of listening to what truly serves you now. And remember, this is not a competition, not a race, not even a prescription. It's simply one path among many that older bodies sometimes embrace with gratitude.
If these reflections resonate with you, make sure to subscribe. I share gentle practices like this every week, little reminders that aging can be lived with awareness, freedom, and peace. What often surprises people is that the body already knows how to take care of itself, if only we allow it the time and space. Modern habits, constant snacking, 3 large meals a day, endless treats between, don't give the body that chance. Yet when you gently step back and create pauses between eating, something remarkable happens inside you. Doctors call it autophagy, a word that sounds complicated, but simply means the body begins cleaning itself, repairing old or damaged cells, almost like sweeping the floor after a busy day. Imagine your body as a home you've lived in for many years. Over time, dust settles, corners get cluttered, and repairs are needed. If you never stop moving furniture in and out, there's no quiet moment for tidying. Eating constantly is a bit like that. Your body is always processing, always busy, with no time for repair. But when you rest from food, even just for longer stretches, your body takes the opportunity to restore itself. This isn't about starvation, it's about giving your body the gift of rest, the same way you would give your mind the gift of silence. At 70 or 80, this process becomes even more valuable. The immune system is more fragile, inflammation can creep in, and blood sugar levels don't regulate as easily as they once did. Pausing between meals allows the body to rebalance. Your blood sugar settles, your digestion becomes calmer, and even the stiffness in your joints can feel lighter. It's like offering your body a deep sigh of relief. Some people notice their thinking grows clearer too, almost as if a fog has lifted. That's not your imagination. Your brain is also benefiting from this quiet repair. But I want you to hear this clearly. There is no single right way to do it. For one person, a 16-hour fast might feel empowering, while for another it feels uncomfortable. What matters is paying attention. Does your body thank you with more energy, steadier moods, calmer digestion, or does it feel strained and deprived? Your own experience is wiser than any textbook. And here is a gentle reminder, you don't need to be afraid. Eating less often at your age is not dangerous when done mindfully. It can actually be healing. Still, if you live with specific health conditions or take certain medications, listen to your doctor's advice as well. Combining wisdom with care is always the safest path. Perhaps the most important shift is in how you think about food. Instead of seeing it only as fuel to keep you going, you might begin to see each meal as a form of medicine, a gift, a carefully chosen offering to your body. With fewer meals, every bite becomes more meaningful. You savor the flavors, you slow down, you notice how you feel afterward. That awareness alone can transform not only your health, but also your relationship with food. So I wonder, when was the last time you truly noticed how your body feels after eating? Not just in the moment of taste, but an hour later, 3 hours later? These small observations will tell you more than any rule or diet ever could. They are your body's quiet way of guiding you toward balance.
If you've ever thought about giving your body more space between meals, the question usually arises, how do I actually do it? At our age, change can feel intimidating, and the last thing you need is a strict set of rules that create pressure. What you truly need is a path that feels gentle, safe, and flexible enough to honor your own rhythm. Think of it less as a diet and more as a gradual shifting of habits, like slowly adjusting the hands of a clock until they match the natural daylight. One of the most comforting ways to begin is by shortening the hours in which you eat. For example, if you usually start with breakfast at 8 in the morning and end with dinner at 8 in the evening, try narrowing that window to between 10 and 6. That simple change already gives your body more time to rest at night, to digest fully, and to wake with a sense of lightness. If that feels comfortable, you can gradually shorten the window further, perhaps moving to 2 meals instead of 3. And eventually, if your body welcomes it, you can shift to 1 main meal. It's like walking down a path at your own pace. You don't need to reach the end today. What matters most is that each step feels kind, not forced. Of course, the quality of that one meal becomes especially important. Choosing foods that truly nourish you makes all the difference. A balanced plate might include a source of protein, colorful vegetables, and healthy fats, foods that satisfy not just the stomach but the whole body. This isn't about restriction, it's about choosing what gives you strength and clarity. Imagine sitting down to that meal not in a rush, but with gratitude, savoring each bite as if it were a gift. Your body will recognize the care you place into it. Hydration, too, becomes part of the picture. Sometimes when you think you're hungry, it's your body asking for water instead. Herbal teas, clear broths, or even just a glass of water can carry you gently through the hours without food. Think of these as companions that support you along the way, keeping you steady without burdening your digestion. And remember, rest is part of the practice. When you eat less often, it's natural to feel moments of weakness or doubt, especially in the beginning. That's your body adjusting. Be kind to yourself. If one day you feel you need an extra meal, allow it without judgment. Flexibility is not failure, it's wisdom. What makes this practice sustainable is not perfection, but compassion. You might ask yourself softly, how do I feel after I eat? How do I feel when I give myself more space between meals?
These questions are not tests, they're invitations to listen more deeply. By turning your attention inward, you create your own guidebook, one that no doctor, no diet, no guru could ever fully write for you. Over time, these gentle steps create not just a new eating pattern, but a new relationship with your body. You'll find yourself trusting it more, understanding its signals, honoring its needs. And that trust, perhaps, is the greatest nourishment of all. A certain peace that comes when you begin to see eating not only as nourishment for the body, but also as nourishment for the soul. At 70 or 80, food no longer carries the same meaning it did in your younger years. It isn't about fueling endless activity or chasing strength at all costs. Instead, it becomes about simplicity, gratitude, and the quiet joy of choosing less but savoring more. Eating once a day can feel like stepping out of the noise and into silence, not because you are denying yourself, but because you are discovering freedom. Freedom from constant cravings, freedom from schedules dictated by the clock, freedom from the idea that you must do what you have always done. In this space of less, you may find more. More clarity, more lightness, more awareness of each moment. Some people describe it as if life itself slows down enough to be tasted. The rhythm of your body becomes clearer, like a soft heartbeat guiding you toward balance. And with that awareness comes gratitude. When you sit down to that one meal, it no longer feels ordinary. You notice the colors of the food, the aroma, the first bite on your tongue. Each part of it is an offering, a reminder that even in simplicity, abundance is present. The act of eating shifts from routine to ritual, from necessity to celebration. It's a change not just in what you do, but in how you see yourself and the world around you. Perhaps this is the real gift of aging, learning that life is not about accumulation, but about refinement.
We strip away what no longer serves us, leaving space for what truly matters. Food, in this sense, becomes a teacher. It shows you that by needing less, you can feel more alive. It shows you that hunger is not an enemy, but a gentle reminder of your body's wisdom. And it shows you that contentment doesn't come from abundance on the plate, but from awareness in the heart. I wonder, have you thought of food in this way before? Not as something to manage or control, but as something to meet with reverence. What would it feel like if each meal was not only a way to keep going, but also a small meditation, a pause to thank your body for carrying you through the years? These are quiet questions, and only you can answer them. But I can tell you this: many who embrace this path discover not just physical benefits, but a kind of spiritual ease. They feel lighter not only in body, but in spirit. They begin to walk through their days with less burden, more presence, and a deeper trust in themselves. If these words touched something in you, I invite you to stay close, to keep exploring these reflections with me. And I would truly love to hear from you. Would you ever try eating once a day, or perhaps you are already living this way? Share your experience in the comments, because your story may be the gentle encouragement someone else needs.